YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my What I Would Do NFL mock draft of 2021. I do one of these every single year. And the dinguses that don't listen to the video, don't look at the thumbnail, and actually don't look at the title even, they get confused and they're the first people to complain in the comments. So I'm looking forward to reading those comments. But love making these videos here every year, and we got plenty more of interesting videos on the way to the NFL draft, and then during and after the draft as well with grades, winners, and losers. We do a day 2 mock draft after day 1. I'm excited. This is the best time of the year, my favorite time of the year. So hopefully you join us, subscribe, follow our Twitter. It's an absolute must follow this time of the year. A lot of rumors, talk, breakdowns, and every single pick on days 2 and 3 on there as well. So check it out. Link pinned in the comment section for anything that you need. Here's our Twitter, fan voted mock draft going on right now. I will make a video out of this and react to it, reacting to your guys' mock draft, basically. We're almost through the first round here, and that's when once it ends, we'll make the video. But on to what I would do mock. So I'm basically playing GM for each of these teams and taking what I would take based on who is still on the board. So sometimes one of these guys I have going earlier is on the board for a specific team, and maybe I would take that guy if he was still on the board. But Jags, I'm going Trevor Lawrence, best quarterback in the class, best player in the class. Jets going Zach Wilson, my number 2 quarterback. I think he fits, they're kind of creating that Shanahan type offense over there. I think it fits. He also has big playability and a lot of upside as well. So I would go him. If I were the Jets, for the 49ers, I would go Justin Fields. I still think they're going to go Mac Jones. That's just what I believe. Every time I hear somebody talk with, in the league, they either are predicting the Niners take Mac Jones, and they love Mac Jones. Anytime you hear something on somebody within the league, they love Mac Jones. In a way, I'm starting to, it kind of makes sense a little. Part of it makes sense. What doesn't make sense is Shanahan and company choosing the system over the quarterback. The quarterback can make or break your team. The quarterback can almost by himself win you a Super Bowl. The best quarterbacks in the NFL will. Mahomes is the system for the Chiefs. They didn't just keep an Alex Smith type system. Mahomes kind of creates it. Tom Brady is kind of the proof in the pudding there on how that works. Goes to Tampa Bay, wins Super Bowl. Quarterbacks are the system. So that is the flaw with taking Mac Jones. You're kind of choosing the system over the quarterback. You basically think your system is going to always be better than the quarterback. But the good thing about Mac Jones is, with that, the system is Shanahan believes in his system. It is a good system. It's a well-coached team. They got talented players, got to stay healthy. But they just want a quarterback that can read defenses quickly and get the ball to the open receiver. And that's where Mac Jones makes sense. Fields a little bit slower on the processing end in terms of reading defenses, so maybe that'd be a reason they don't like him. But overall, Justin Fields is my 3rd best quarterback in the class. Tremendous upside. I think he fits in terms of the play style, the play calls in the playbook of the 49ers. I think he fits. The one thing he doesn't fit is you want a faster processor. That's what you want. But I would go that route. They're obviously going a quarterback here, so I went with the quarterback, of course, went with Fields. The Falcons, I can argue both sides. The quarterback aspect makes sense because, like I've been saying all offseason, we don't expect the Falcons to be picking 4 anytime soon. It should be a pretty good ball team. They're not going to be picking 4. On top of that, this is maybe the best quarterback class of all time. When is the 4th best quarterback worthy of the first pick in most classes here? When you have the opportunity like that. I don't really like the way the quarterback's looking for next year. Sure, they can grow. I think some people are a little too high on those guys, and even being that high, they're still not as high on them as these guys too. So this is kind of their chance. Matt Ryan's not going to be around forever. Probably 2 more years. But Kyle Pitts is my 2nd overall player in the class. In Arthur Smith's scheme, a tight end like this just makes it that much more dominant. Basically, he's higher on my board than those quarterbacks anyways. He's a generational talent. I take Kyle Pitts here. They could trade back. I didn't do any trades in here because it's not a predict pick mock anyways, and it would start creating a mess. Bengals, tough decision. I go Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU. Best receiver prospect, in my opinion, since Julio Jones. But there's another receiver in this class that we'll talk about in a second that isn't really too far off from Chase at all, for me at least. So I go that route. They need offensive linemen bad. They feel like they got tackles right now. They need guards pretty badly to get Joe Mixon going because he's a very talented running back that has not been able to get going because of that. If you get the guard play going, you get the running game going, you get your talented Joe Mixon going, and that gets teams on their toes, fearing the run. That opens up the pass. It's harder to pass rush then for Joe Burrow and company. So that's why a receiver does make sense, even though you do want to get in taking guards in the second, third. I love the day two talent for the offensive line. The interior is actually built in day two here. So I'm a fan of that. It makes sense. They do need another receiver. I love Tyler Boyd. You guys know I love me some Tyler Boyd. I like T. Higgins. Damn good duo receiver, but this offense, the way this offense is run, they need a third number one receiver here, and you get one in Chase. And I have an elite grade on him. I don't have an elite grade on the two tackles, even though I like them very much. They're probably the length away from being, an elite tackle. So they're very, very close. But I go Jamar Chase. Dolphins, I go Devontae Smith. Elite grade on Devontae Smith. He's one spot lower than Chase on my entire big board. So obviously one spot lower in the receiver category. Best separator in the class, better than Jamar Chase. So that would be the argument for Devontae Smith. Usually the separators, there's got to be some problem with them. Can they go up and catch the ball? Maybe they can't. No, he can. He can go catch the ball. He's got great hands. Great at reading defenses, understanding where he needs to get to the open spot. Just a big time playmaker. You can get the ball to in any way, realistically. I'm not really too worried about the weight. Sure, you'd like him to weigh a little more, but that's what makes Devontae Smith and why he was so great, why he was a rare receiver to win the Heisman Trophy. The Dolphins obviously have Tua. Familiar with Devontae Smith, that's kind of a bonus, just like the Bengals pick. It's not what makes the pick, it's just a bonus. But they don't have this type of player. They just don't have this type of separator. Will Fuller's pretty good separating, deep downfield. But it's only a one-year deal anyways. This is what they need for Tua. This is the pick I would make. For the Lions, really like Devontae Smith for the Lions. He's off the board. I like Micah Parsons a lot. Another guy of elite grade. I don't have a whole bunch of elite grades, but yeah, it's common that you'll see some up here for me in the top part of the draft, obviously. Micah Parsons could fit 4-3 or 3-4. He can fit off the ball linebacker, or you can rush him off the edge on obvious passing downs would make sense. He's a dominant blitzer. He's a very good tackler, very good in range, athletic enough to improve in terms of his coverage, which I think is okay right now, but it can get better. But it's in no way, shape, or form on the weaker side, like some people say. But yeah, just a big time ball player back there for the Lions at the linebacker position that you can. Again, I think his blitzing ability is going to open things up for their actual pass rushers. Romeo Okwara doesn't need people to open things up for him. They got to get Trey Flowers going. They also have Julian Okwara. They got to get these guys going. They got to get them going a little more active. I think having a guy like this, actually, people don't realize, could open things up for those guys. So I do like that pick. Trade back is a very strong possibility for the Lions and for that. Panthers at 8. They go with one of the offensive linemen here. I actually like Slater a lot. I really like him in an outside zone scheme, which seems to be the direction teams are going. Those seem to be the most talented offensive linemen. So that would be my reasoning for Slater. When it comes to offensive linemen, you do draft off fit with the offensive lineman because the scheme and the unit it's made up of 5 players is more important than a single player. That's kind of the beauty of offensive line unit. It goes by unit. It goes by scheme. That's kind of the one group where it goes, where you have to judge things by. The Panthers in that scheme will run inside zone and some gap schemes. Penei Sewell fits that better than Rashawn Slater. So based on their types of plays, Slater is going to be better. Sewell might look better than Slater. So therefore, Sewell is a better fit. Therefore, he's better for them. But I do like Slater a lot. Fits today's style. He's very impressive on tape. But Sewell just makes the most sense for the Panthers, in my opinion, unless their teams change up their schemes and play styles all the time. So we'll see. Next group of teams, I actually want Mac Jones, the Broncos. It's really a can't-miss spot in this scenario because I'd be fine with Trey Lance as well. I just think Mac Jones fits that offense, that Shermer offense specifically. You look at their weapons. Kind of a knock on Mac Jones. He had all these Alabama weapons. Well, the Broncos have those weapons as well. They need a guy that can make an on-time, accurate throw. That'd be Mac Jones. I just think he fits, what they're trying to do there, and I think he could be an upgrade from Drew Lock. Different style quarterback than Drew Lock, or I guess different strengths and weaknesses than Drew Lock. But I think this makes them this makes him a instant. Do we want to say Super Bowl contender with a rookie quarterback? But it makes them an interesting playoff team for sure because they have a pretty complete team. So I would actually go Mac Jones. Trey Lance starting to get me a little nervous. The more I'm thinking about, he's very, very talented, very talented. Just a lack of passing attempts in the one game he played this year, the one and only game, wasn't the best in terms of a thrower. So that's why it's a little scary. But the run dominance would be insane with the Broncos with a guy like Trey Lance. Cowboys, this is where it might surprise. We think they may go corner. At least, we can't guarantee anything for sure when it comes to the draft. I go Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips is higher on my board than the corners. On top of that, the edge rush position, pass rush in general, is more of an impact, is way more important than corners because the rest of your defense could look better than it is with pass rush, plain and simple. If you have a great pass rush, your defense will automatically look pretty good, no matter who's in the back end. And on top of that, Phillips is higher on my board. I think, sure, Randy Gregory was performing a bit last year, nothing guaranteed with him. Jalen Phillips, dominant pass rusher. I'm not as worried as most about past concussions. Concussions happen all the time in the NFL. Guys are back in a week or back that week. DeMarcus Lawrence and Jalen Phillips is a dominant group. It gets DeMarcus Lawrence going more. It gets the guys in the back end going even more. I like that pick. The Giants, I would think about quarterback here. I just know they're just not going to do it, so I didn't really want to waste my time because this roster is really the roster is ready to compete for a Super Bowl. But are the Giants ready to compete for a Super Bowl? They're not. And there's a reason for that. So that is my reason why I would consider a quarterback, even though they are not. I know there's some attachment out there. People get mad, but it is what it is. But the offensive line does need to get better. It does need to be better. It's an excuse Daniel Jones has, a small excuse because you can't turn the ball over, obviously. But the offensive line can be better. So this is great value for Slater. Top 10 player on my board. End up being great value in a mock where I'm the GM for every team. That'll happen. I guess just like Jalen Waddle here, the Eagles grabbing another receiver. But now they kind of get more of a sure thing receiver. At least I would hope he did have that ankle injury. But they just don't have that true number one. They got some other guys that can play. I'm a believer in Rager still. I believe he can be, a lot better, but get guys that kind of fits that Hurts offense here would make sense. Christian Darsaw is a top 10 player for me. I love his game, loved his tape. Kind of gave me Trent Williams vibes at the left tackle position. The Chargers desperately need a left tackle. Falls right in your lap. Beautiful thing here. Vikings was tough for me. There's another one, like I said with the Broncos. You can't miss with either quarterback. The Cowboys even, I like Jalen Phillips, but you can't really miss with those corners. I think the Vikings are in a pretty good spot too because you have multiple options where it could be a good pick. The problem with the Vikings here is they almost have to go offensive line because that offensive line is pretty bad. Kind of like the Chargers. The good thing, they got guys worthy of the pick. That's kind of the good thing there. See the Vikings going corner. It could be a good thing with J.C. Horn. I could see them going to pass rusher. Phillips off the board. Go Vera Tucker. I would really prefer him at guard, though. That's the thing. If the Vikings take him on draft night, I'm going to be wondering, they're going to put him at guard, they're going to put him at tackle. It's an upgrade for them at tackle, but I think he's much better at guard. So we're all going to be kind of wondering that, But that would have to be the pick there. They're almost in a position like the Chargers where it's desperate for this position. The good news is, in this case, in this scenario, we don't know what's going to happen live, in the actual draft. This case, they don't have to reach. They're desperate. They don't really have to reach. Those guys worth that spot. Trey Lance ends up falling to the Patriots. Phenomenal talent. I'm starting to think it's a little more risky than before. One side I'm like, it's almost safe because worst case, he's not the best thrower. Maybe he's he can be a game manager type thrower, but he's a really good runner. So it's better than a game manager. So that's the good thing. The bad is he can get a little wild in terms of his passing ability. And he doesn't have enough reps under his belt, so it is a little scary there. But it would work in the Patriots scheme system for sure. They would like Trey Lance a lot. I don't really think you necessarily need to sit him for a year as well. You don't need to start him, but you don't need to sit him. I'm not one of those people, but that would be great for the Patriots. Unlikely he's there at 15, but what I would do mock, he's there. Maybe he slides for those reasons. Maybe he ends up sliding. If I had to predict which quarterback is most likely to be the fifth one going, I'm actually going to say Trey Lance now because I think there's some teams that could be a little scared, but will he drop to 15? That's kind of the question. These corners are good enough to go higher in this. I think there's just more value, and there's some really good talent in this draft class. We're starting to see it where the corners drop a little bit. And Horn does have his concerns where he could be better in zone coverage, and he gets a little grabby. So that's kind of what's holding him back from being an elite prospect. So I'm not going to be like, he wows in his press ability, the lack of separation that he allows, which is obviously a good thing. Cardinals run a lot of press man. Boom, good fit. Surtain's a good fit as well, but Horn a little better for what they run. So it's perfect there for the Cardinals. So Surtain ends up slipping through a little bit, and I don't have a problem with him going around top 10. I would prefer to take a best player available, which it could on their board, I know, be a guy like Surtain or Horn. But for me, I would prefer a team that takes somebody that's best player available for me, obviously. And because the day 2 corner group, their second round corner group is loaded. I would love to, that would kind of be the best case scenario. I think you get more overall talent going that route. Risky to plan ahead. What are we going to get in the second round? Very risky. It's very hard to do. But the Raiders, they got young corners, so I'm not a fan of mocking corners to the Raiders. But in this case, you take Surtain. He can fit Gus Bradley's scheme very well. It'd be him and Trayvon Mullen. Damon Arnett. That's the tough part. Damon Arnett. I don't really like him in the slot, so I'd probably be hitting the bench for him. I didn't really like that pick at the time. But as the Raiders sit, it's a new scheme. People rip the Raiders' corners. They could get better at their cornerback position, but you shouldn't really be ripping them. They ran a lot of stupid cover 2 last year that didn't really work for their personnel. They're going to run more cover 3 this year. These corners could be better by that alone, so I wouldn't panic about their corners. I would love Jason Oweh for the Dolphins. I'm really liking Jason Oweh. He's really growing on me. The upside, I think it's there. The reason people don't like him is because he doesn't really have a lot of production. But if you watch the tape, does he have production behind the actual box score? We're not going off the box score, and he does. He gets pressure. He's very strong. He uses his strength and his athleticism on the field. He's very good stopping a run. You can see it's a guy you can work with. The Dolphins need more of a pure edge rusher, specifically an athletic one, in my opinion. That's kind of what they're missing. Emmanuel Ogbah was very solid for them last year, just more of a defensive end, using his strength. There's no guarantees with him. He's been a little underwhelming. Up until last year was fantastic, but there's no guarantees. You need somebody opposite of him. I would like Oweh. I think Flores can develop, get the potential out of Jason Oweh. Washington goes Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, which would be a pretty good value pick, even in my mock here, my GM mock. I think it's a fantastic fit. Ron Rivera's cover 3 scheme could be that robber-type player, kind of like Jeremy Chin was for the Panthers in their cover 3 scheme. I think it'd be fantastic. I guess the question is, I keep bringing it up, is Landon Collins kind of that player already? That's kind of debate, but I think you can make it work. I think this is more of a fit. Bears go Elijah Moore. They need another playmaker. If they can make this offense faster, then it could be a lot different. And they kind of did that adding Darnell Mooney last year. They're going to kind of do that, getting Tariq Cohen back, but they need more, somebody else to add like Moore. They need more of Moore here. Darnell Mooney, a good speedster on the outside, add Moore on the inside. Allen Robinson plays outside and inside. It's a dynamic trio there. And Moore's a guy that gets open instantly. That's kind of what the Bears have been missing. They got guys that could get separation, but it's not the instant separation. Moore will bring that. Colts go Kwity Paye. A lot of talk, they need a tackle. It'd be way too much of a reach, if I'm playing GM. And I definitely would debate that edge rusher is a much bigger need because they got holes off the edge there. DeForest Buckner's got to carry a load in terms of pass rush, and he's coming from the inside. I go Kwity Paye, best available fit at that position. I don't think Ojulari. They could make Ojulari fit probably, but maybe work with him. But Paye would make the most sense to me. Plug and play guy. I think the Colts defense gets a big time boost with just this one pick here. Titans go Rashad Bateman, very talented guy for them at 22. Corey Davis replacement could actually be better than Corey Davis. I have a higher grade on him than I did Corey Davis when Corey Davis was in the draft. He went 5th, surprisingly. So I like Bateman a lot. That would boost their offense, really. Jets go Azeez Ojulari. I talked about being a fit in Robert Saleh's scheme, kind of playing that D forward role, a pass rusher that's kind of a hybrid pass rusher in terms of a 3-4/4-3 pass rusher that also can drop in coverage. I think it's a perfect fit there because Carl Lawson is going to be your 4-3 end, technically your Bosa for Robert Saleh. Steelers get Tevin Jenkins. Really thought about Javonte Williams. I love Javonte. You guys know by now I love Javonte Williams. You kind of got to play the draft, though. You kind of got to play what's going on, and I don't see any threat of anybody taking a running back, but the only problem is you would have to trade up, if they're interested in doing that with your second-round pick. I don't think he's going to drop. I would just have to have him, but seeing what's behind them here for a pretty decent amount of time, I don't see any threat So I do go to, I mean, what good is Javonte Williams anyways? The offensive line's a disaster. They get Tevin Jenkins. He can plug and play at right tackle. Dominant run blocker, so that opens up the run blocking. His concern is the pass protection. It's not bad, but it could use work, and there's not a lot of reps with lengthy pass protection. So that, even though he's getting talk in the top 17, this is pretty close to that, so it's not a big deal. But this is more of his range, in my opinion. What it should be, what it will be predicting-wise, yeah, again, I think he goes around at 17. And moving on to the last 8 picks here, definitely a unique one here with the Jaguars. I had him taking Gregory Rousseau from Miami. I'm putting him at 3-4 end. Now, there's a lot of talk out there. What type of defense are the Jacksonville Jaguars going to run? For some reason, a lot of people are talking about a hybrid defense out there. I think that, I don't know if that's actually accurate. I think they don't want to kind of give away what type of players they're looking for here to kind of tip any draft boards or give anybody an idea what players they're going to take. So usually a strategy by teams, they very well could run a hybrid defense, but I really don't think so because I feel like they're trying to run like a Raven-style defense, getting that defensive tree, coaching tree from there. And hybrid defenses just are not working unless it's under Bill Belichick, and that's about it. Because you need versatile. I mean, you need to draft versatile over talent because you're switching defenses. You might need more players, and you're just not getting the best talent in there. So it's pretty common sense why it hasn't really been working out for teams. Lions try to do it. Patricia coming from that Patriots tree. Could make an exception for Flores, but I think they got playmakers on that defense in Miami where they get, turnovers was the reason the defense was good. See if that continues, different debate. But I'm thinking they're sticking more towards a 3-4 look. Obviously, they can switch things up, bring different players in, more passers. That's situational stuff. That's not a hybrid defense. Obvious passing downs have certain guys in, certain personnel, and obvious running downs. So I would think a 3-4, you put Rousseau, who I really like as a 3-4 defensive end. People around the league comparing him to Calais Campbell. Kind of funny because Calais Campbell kind of making comments on Twitter about Rousseau, how he's a first-round talent, can't sleep on him, things like that. But I think he would fit at 3-4 end, which they could use. He's got to put a little more strength on him. But then they have Josh Allen and Clavon Chason, who I love as 3-4 edge rushers, outside linebackers in that scheme. It'd be a deadly, deadly pass rush, and the Jaguars could afford to do it with all these picks, a lot of young talent. Browns go Jamin Davis, linebacker from Kentucky. They get their inside linebacker that has that athleticism, that speed that they need. They were kind of lacking in speed in that category, that unit last year. He's been getting a lot of buzz. You can go a lot earlier than that. He just fell here in this scenario. Ravens with their first-round pick now, Kadarius Toney. They definitely need receiver help. Lamar Jackson needs some help. This is a guy that gets open very quickly. Could be a receiver, getting separation downfield, but also could be kind of a gadget player. I think on both ways kind of works in a Lamar Jackson-style offense. They just need receiver help. They got some young guys they could develop, especially in the slot. They got like Duvernay, but Tony's just an instant upgrade for sure. Why? It's a contending team. Why waste time trying to maybe develop guys? Just go get better. It's something you need here. Caleb Farley's tough. I had him with the Saints. It's tough to figure out where I want to pull the trigger. I'm on record saying if Caleb Farley didn't have injury concerns, I'd have him as my number one corner because he's that talented, has that much upside. Remember, a quarterback turned receiver turned corner, only played corner for 2 years. So the upside is definitely there. He's very talented already. He's a natural. But the injury concern is there, and it's a little scary. Whatever team does draft him, you got to be wondering, it's in the back of your mind, like, oh, I hope he could stay healthy. So it is hard to draft a guy like that, but there's got to be a limit on where he can drop. He's just so damn talented. So I had him with the Saints. I would like the Saints to get a weapon for Jameis Winston because that's the name of the game for that offense, high-powered, downfield offense. So you do need the weapons. Michael Thomas is not enough, obviously, even though he's very talented. But so that it's tough not to go with kind of a receiver there. But Marshawn Lattimore's got something going off the field. I'm sure they'll get cleaned up, but you move on from Jack Rabbit, go Farley. Risky, but beautiful reward there potentially. Packers, tough not going to receiver for them. So really thought about a guy like maybe De'Ami Brown, Terrace Marshall. Really want them to get a receiver, but Barmore, who's been getting a lot of hype, might not be here in a real draft. If I'm predicting a pick, maybe not. I think this is more of his range, but sounds like it could go earlier. But the Packers finally, they need to get, finally can they get a receiver? Finally can they get some help for Kenny Clark on their actual defensive line? That's if they keep their 3-4 scheme, which I would imagine they would. Kenny Clark kind of by himself up there. Add Barmore with him. That affects Kenny Clark and make him better. That also helps helps out the actual edge rushers out the outside. So they finally get some help there, can help stop the run. He gets some good pressure. Bills go Greg Newsome, I think a really good fit next to Tre'Davious White. He's been getting some buzz too. I think this is more of his range. Does have some durability concerns, but fantastic young corner, improving. Yeah, they need somebody opposite Tre'Davious White, one of the more complete teams in my opinion, and they would benefit from that. Ravens, obviously now have the Chiefs pick. Joe Tryon been getting a lot of buzz. He actually can go earlier in this too. I think it's a fantastic fit with the Ravens. I feel he's a 3-4 outside linebacker. It's a pretty deadly pass rusher with upside as a pass rusher that also can drop in coverage when you need him to. That's got Ravens written all over it, so they could potentially go that route there with Joe Tryon, and that's what I would do in the scenario. That's just what this mock is. This is a tough one here, but if I'm the Buccaneers, I take that chance on Zaven Collins. He's a fantastic football player. That's number one. It's guaranteed. High IQ football player. Great size combined with athleticism. Not a wow athlete, but it's kind of wow to see that size with that movement and athleticism. But maybe too heavy to stay as an off-the-ball linebacker. I think it's likely he's switching to edge. I think it's likely teams know that, and he knows that, why he put out up to 270 pounds. I think the Buccaneers are a team that could afford to kind of gamble. It feels like a first-round talent still, but playing a little bit out of position, but such high upside there. Buccaneers can do that. Not a lot of needs, potential boom potential here, and working in with JPP and Shaq Barrett. Of course, JPP probably got one more year. They can find unique ways to use Collins. Todd Bowles over there, they could definitely find ways to make him an impact right away, even while he's developing. So could go several options with the Buccaneers. Could go several options a lot of these. That's the beauty of this. That's a very good draft class. It's the beauty of when it actually happens. There's a lot of picks teams can make, a lot of different options that I'm going to like the pick still. But there's some that I'm just, if you reach, if you do this, that, there's some where I'm not going to like it. But there's a lot of good options for every team. That's the good news there. Everyone's trying to get better. Everyone's going to get better, we hope here, in the right ways. So I'm really excited for the actual NFL draft. We'll have, probably a final mock draft the day before the draft, perhaps. We'll have a day 2 mock draft, actually, after day 1. All kinds of NFL draft content, some more videos leading up to, during, and after the NFL draft, of course. So join us for all that. Very excited. My favorite time of the year. And we'll have you covered for it, of course. Follow our Twitter. Absolute must follow at GoDowsNFL. Is a link pinned in the comments for this video, along with a lot of other different things there that could be useful. But, yeah. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.